welcome back. And today I'm going to be reviewing How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, or How to Train Your Dragon 3: The Hidden World. Now, this video will have spoilers. Now, I saw this yesterday on Thursday. I'm filming this on Friday, and I was going to do my review yesterday, but I forgot to bring my tripod up north where I saw it. So, I am back home now, and the film isn't as fresh in my brain as it was last night when I was going to do the video, so I'm sorry if I forget to mention some things. But, yeah, there will be spoilers in this video, but, I'm also sorry this is a week later. I just didn't get around to seeing it until yesterday, and I'm glad to say, guys, this movie is great. I love 1, and I was not a big fan of 2, but this film is great, guys. I'm really happy to say that. So yeah, we're gonna discuss it in spoilers here. So, if you didn't know, or if you didn't see my Dragon 2 review, I did not like the love triangle between Roughnut, Snotlout, and Fishlegs. It felt like a terrible side plot that distracted from the main plot, and wasted time that could have been spent on developing the relationships between Hiccup, his father, and his mother. But in this film, they know how to use those comedic side characters. Like in the first one, they didn't really do anything, but they had some fun moments throughout the movie, and then they all got a moment to shine in the finale. In this film, they know how to use them. Roughnut gets captured by the villain, and they let her go, and she thinks that they're letting her go just because she annoyed them to death. But they're actually tracking their whereabouts. Toughnut has this funny little thing where he's like trying to show Hiccup how he can be like great in his marriage or something, and he calls him, "Hey Hickey," you know. T.J. Miller, you know, he's the best. So that was great. Fishlegs is the one that has nothing to do, but then there is a similar sort of love triangle, but not a love triangle. It's where Snotlout kind of likes Hiccup's mom, but Hiccup's mom is just constantly, like, toying with him. It's really funny, actually. And it's like what the Roughnut love triangle could have been in the second one, if it was actually funny. And this movie is actually really funny. It doesn't have that clever self-awareness, or self-aware style of humor that the first one did, but it gets close, and it's my style of humor. The second one had this annoying humor where they think it's so funny when a character interrupts someone in the movie or interrupts an emotional moment. And it's like, haha, laugh out loud, but I don't think that's funny. Because it's something that decreases the emotion of the film. But in this film, they don't have that. They know when to place it, and with the second one, same with the action. In the second one, it felt like they had the nice moment with Stoic and Valkus singing the song, and then suddenly, we have to have a big battle, like, out of nowhere, that interrupts this emotional moment. We just have to have this action set piece here because move the plot along. In this movie, they have a lot of emotional build-up, which makes it that more exciting when they go in and start kicking butt, because it's awesome. And they have the epic How to Train Your Dragon classic theme playing. It's just the emotional build-up. It's actually built up, so then the action feels, like, earned, unlike the second one. So that's great. The villain in this one is also great. I hated Drago in the second one. Drago was terrible. He was not intimidating at all, and most of the moments when I laughed in 2, funnily enough, were when he was screaming and swinging his stick around and going, wah, wah, wah. In this one, this villain is, like, intimidating, he's entertaining, and he has a motivation that you can understand. Where Drago had a cliche motivation, and sure, this villain has a cliche motivation, it's Grimmel. He has somewhat of a cliche motivation with the whole, like, I grew up, he says that I've hunted, like, he doesn't really get much backstory, he's just like, I've hunted all the Night Furies, except yours, and I will kill everything you love, but this guy's intimidating, he's straight up, like, savage, he's like, I'm gonna spin around, shoot you, like in the first scene, like, this giant dragon escapes, he just swings around and shoots it with a crossbow. This guy is not messing around, and then he's like, Hiccup's like, we've encountered much worse than you, and he's like, you've never encountered anything like me. And then his dragons come in and they're like spitting acid, lava, fire, goo, and it's like, oh my god, this guy is a force to be reckoned with. So, what will I take? A villain who's not intimidating, with a cliche motivation, who screams a lot and makes me laugh, over a villain who's entertaining, intimidating, and has an understandable motivation and goal. I think I'm gonna take the villain with the established motivation, intimidation, and like, you know, that. I think I'll take that character over Screamy guy who has a cliche motivation and is just really terrible. And then an interesting flashback that happens is they have some flashbacks to when Hiccup was a boy and his father was trying to find the hidden world, and they explain there's so much that they didn't spoil in the trailers, and they basically explain that Stoic was trying to find the hidden world so he could seal it up, and the Vikings and dragons would have peace finally. So he's doing it for both of their good, and that's really interesting because it changes the perception of the village in the first film from the village wants to kill dragons and then suddenly they're nice to originally Stoic just wanted to have peace, and he wanted to seal up the hidden world so the dragons could be happy and they could also be happy. But then after he couldn't find it, because Hiccup says when I was a boy, so after a long time Stoic couldn't find it, and then they had no other choice but to resort to killing them. That completely changes our perception of the first How to Train Your Dragon and the village and Stoic himself. And I think that was incredible. I think that was really interesting. So I really enjoyed that. And the movie's a little bit strangely paced. You could nitpick at that. I guess we'll talk about some negatives here. There's this really weird moment. So basically, towards the end, they have their final battle, and Toothless and Hiccup are chasing Grimmel, who's riding on Toothless's girlfriend, the Light Fury. And Toothless, teleports, and then Hiccup jumps off Toothless with his wings to free the Light Fury. Grimmel shoots Toothless with the drug, which knocks him unconscious. Hiccup jumps onto the Light Fury, tackles Grimmel, pulls the harness off of the Light Fury, and says, "Save him." So, Toothless, we've already seen falling. So then Hiccup says, "Save him," and as he says that, he's floating in the air with Grimmel, and then she goes, brrr, and then she goes down to save Toothless, and as you're supposed to think that Toothless is already falling, and for some reason Hiccup was floating in the air with Grimmel for 1 second, but then 1 second later, they're falling at the same pace, because Hiccup can see the Light Fury tackle Toothless onto this cliff, and there's something some things in the movie that were kind of a little bit weird, but this just crosses the line of stupidity. There's just this cliff that just happens to be there that she tackles Toothless to, and they just wanted to have a cool shot where she tackles Toothless and there's dirt flying. But there's no way, in real life, there's no way there would just be that handy cliff there. So the Toothless was already falling before Hiccup freed the dragon. It took him at least 10 seconds to get it off and say save him, and 2 more seconds for her to go brrr. So they would be falling, Toothless would be falling already, so he wouldn't be at the same pace of Toothless of falling, so that he'd be able to see her tackle him. Do you see what I mean? There's some physics that don't make sense, there. And then, there's some things I love the moment where, Hiccup loses Toothless and the Light Fury get captured, and then he's oh no, what am I gonna do? And then Astrid walks up to him, and then he's don't say that I messed up, and then she's are you just gonna stay here and agree with everything that I'm saying? And she's what are you gonna do about it? And he's probably something stupid. Oh, great callback. That is perfect. Perfect timing with that. That was just great. And then she's and she says, I've seen you this whole time doubt yourself if you're worthy, but Toothless just made it easier for you. It made your role as chief feel easier. So it's going to be a lot harder without him. And then 1 second later, they're all just wearing dragon suits, and they just fly in no problem, burn the ships, and just take on everybody single-handedly. And it's an awesome action scene. Like I say, there's a lot of emotional build-up to it. But at the same time, they make Astrid be it's gonna be a lot harder without him. But then, it's not. They just, immediately fly in and, kick everybody's butt, and it's just yeah! You know? That just felt a little weird to me. There's something weird about this franchise and how they kill off characters. Drago, they don't explain what happened to him. They mention Drago's defeat. But in this movie, Grimmel's it's been a year since Drago's defeat. And then, but at the end of the movie, the Alpha Dragon, the evil Alpha Dragon, jumps back into the ocean, and in this movie, he's in the hidden world. So I think you're supposed to think between the two films, he made his way to the hidden world. But at the same time, Drago must have drowned, right? I don't know if he can swim or not, but I think he must have drowned. So in this movie, they have the Light Fury tackle Toothless, and then you have like this dramatic music playing as Hiccup and Grimmel are falling, and then she comes down, grabs Hiccup, and they don't cut back to Grimmel. It's like, there's ground down there. Grimmel went splat. He's dead. And then they just have this happy, epic music play, and everyone's just flying to this one cliff. They're all just like, doo 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 doo, and I'm like, that villain just fell to his death. Are you not gonna save him or something? Like, I like that they didn't do the cliche thing where usually in movies they're like, okay, we defeated the villain, and then like they bring him back in, like someone like flies him in, and then they're like, you can take care of him, and like they chase him away. Like, I'm glad they didn't do that, but at the same time, it's like, they just killed this guy off screen. Like, he just fell to his death, you know? Like, is that just me, or does that seem a little weird? Because that guy just died, you know? Like, and then another thing is, I don't know if this movie should have been called The Hidden World. Like, the second one is just called How to Train Your Dragon 2. The first one is How to Train Your Dragon. And this one's called The Hidden World, but, like, they only go to the Hidden World once. And I was like, they already had, like, a dragon paradise in 2 with, like, the Mom's Soul Paradise inside of, like, the Bewilder Beasts ice castle. And it was like, are they gonna be able to do anything, like, better than that? Like, it wasn't that exciting, like, it wasn't that beautiful in the second one, but, like, can they do... Holy crap, they can. When they go to the Hidden World in this movie, there's so many colors, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, it is, like, epic. Like, they go in, and there's all these colors, and, like, this epic music, and Toothless is, like, roaring on top of the rock, and they're like, that's the king. Like, it's epic. Like, it is beautiful to look at. But that's the only time they go to the Hidden World. Like, that's the only time they go to the Hidden World. And it's like, oh, sorry, we can't animate that anymore. We're just, like, never gonna have them go back. Like, wouldn't have been awesome if they had the finale in the Hidden World? And, like, it would have been cool if, like, so, like, from what I understand, Toothless has to be with the Light Fury. So this is something I was a little confused in. So, Grimmel has the Light Fury on the ship at the beginning, and she's, like, hiding from Toothless because she can, like, turn invisible. So that's where, like, he first, like, I guess smells her. Like, he smells her there on the ship, but he can't find her. So then he's like, we're gonna use her as bait. And I thought, like, she was gonna be, like, working with Grimmel. It would be, like, the cliche thing, like, of, oh, I work with the villain, and we capture Toothless, but then I actually genuinely love him. I'm glad they didn't do that, but, like, did he just let the Light Fury go with her thinking that he had just let her free? Or was he, like, I was a little confused with that, like, so did the Light Fury live in the Hidden World before she was captured? Because, like, she seems like she's used to life there, and it's like, so Toothless, like, how do the dragons all just welcome Toothless immediately? Like, Toothless is just, like, immediately the king, she's immediately the queen, and I'm like, has she been there before? Like, I think she probably has, because, like, we've never seen her before. But I was just a little confused by that, guys, like, I don't know. And so from what I understand, the dragons in the Hidden World have never been outside of it, and they've never, like, known to love humans. So whenever the Light Fury sees Hiccup, she, like, immediately leaves because, like, she, like, just hears, like, she just kind of, barely sees him behind a tree, and she just leaves, and she's, like, mad at Toothless because I think, like, the dragons in the Hidden World are, like, untamed, so they don't love the humans, and they don't know the humans, so they're, like, more savage, from what I understand, so they can't go to the Hidden World and live there, because, that's what I got, that they went to the Hidden World because, like, the humans can't live there with the dragons there, because the dragons would attack them, because the second, like, the dragons find or Hiccup and Astrid, they attack them, and then Toothless flies them back. But I mean, like, Grimmel never finds out about the Hidden World, which I thought about, like, wouldn't it be awesome if the finale was in that visually beautiful Hidden World, and they had, like, the final battle there, but it was just around this random island that the Burkians find and settle on. Like, wouldn't that have been awesome if Grimmel finds out about the Hidden World, and the final battle is in there, and it's, like, this crazy visual, like, masterpiece? Like, that would be great. And then now we're gonna get into, like, the final moments of this film. Guys, they got me. Like, I was like, I'm probably gonna cry at this movie. I didn't cry, but the part where it got close to making me cry was when they had the shot and he says, "Go, bud." And I was like, okay, are they just gonna have, like, are they just gonna leave it there? Is he just gonna be like, go, and then he leaves? But I was like, no, they have to do a poetic bookend to the classic. He puts his hand to his head, and they did. In the first film, they have Hiccup reach out his hand with his head facing away, and Toothless closes his eyes and presses his head against his hand. In this movie, they have Toothless's eyes closed, Hiccup's hand move away, and then he opens his eyes. That is beautiful. That's when they got me. That's when I was like, oh my god, that's just beautiful. Like, it was poetic. And then, there's another little nitpick I have is the voices feel a little weird. So, in How to Train Your Dragon 1, they all sound very young. It came out in 2010. Then with the second one, it's 5 years later and they sound older, which makes sense. That works with that film, so that makes perfect sense. But then with this film, it's only a year later. Valka has a little bit of gray hair, which is kind of weird. Hiccup's mother, that is, has gray hair. But then they all sound a lot older because it's actually been almost 5 years in real life since the second one. And that's a little weird to me. Is like, and like they could have done a little better, I think, because then they have a flash to the future. Hiccup, Astrid, and their children are going like into the fog to find the hidden world, and then Toothless is there and they have babies, but then his eyes are like slitted, which means they're evil. And then when they have nice open eyes, that means like wide eyes, that means they're nice. And he attacks them, and you think he's gonna like attack Hiccup, but then he sticks out his hand and then he becomes docile. So let me know in the comments, do you think Toothless is putting on an act there, or do you think he actually had forgotten over all those years? Let me know in the comments. But then another weird thing is, like, it's supposed to be, like, I think, like, at least, like, 10 to 20 years in the future, I thought. Like, my dad was like, maybe it's only, like, 5 years in the future because the children are very young, and they don't look that much older. But, I mean, judging by how old they got in between movies 1 and 2, and how in this one, like, they have more facial hair, I don't think they grow facial hair that fast. And, like, I think they could have done better with animating them looking older. Like, Astrid doesn't look that much older. I was like, oh, is she gonna look older? Like, her hair looks maybe a little bit grayer, but she doesn't look at all she doesn't look that different at all from, like, her past self. And then all they did to Hiccup was, like, he has the same costume. All that it changes is, like, he has a beard now. Like, he looks exactly the same. And then it's supposed to be, like, in the future, but, like, his voice still sounds like little Hiccup, you know? Like, that's a little weird to me. Like, it still sounds like the Hiccup that we saw, like, in the current timeline of the film, which is, like, 10 to 20 years earlier, 20 to 15 years earlier. That's where the voices and how the actors age annoy me. That's just a little, like, continuity error, I guess. Not really continuity error, but just, like, a weird thing, judging by how the actors have aged in real life. So, guys, I guess wrapping this up, this is getting long. I love How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. It is much better than 2. I'm probably not going to do a ranking video, so I'm just going to say it here. I would rank them number 3, How to Train Your Dragon 2, number 2, How to Train Your Dragon 3: The Hidden World, and number 1, the first one, How to Train Your Dragon. So I think this film is great. It improves upon the second one. It basically does all the things the second one did terribly right. It's a lot funnier, it handles its characters better, it's just a great ending to the series, it's emotional, and it's perfect, guys. It's not perfect, I just discussed all my issues, so, it has issues, like I explained to you, so I'm probably going to give this a B+, like, this is a perfect ending to the series, it's much better than 2, I'm really happy about that, so, yeah, you guys let me know what you thought of How to Train Your Dragon 3: The Hidden World in the comments. I'm giving it a B+. It's not quite as good as the first one, but it's still really good and a lot better than the second one. So, you guys let me know what you think of How to Train Your Dragon 3: The Hidden World, and what you thought of my review in the comments as well, and I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.